And good afternoon, everyone. Our big story today at 4, making your voices heard in Arizona's midterm election. Tens of thousands of people out casting their ballots in person today. But technical issues at some polling places in Maricopa County are causing concern and confusion. Thanks for joining us for this important day all across the country and, of course, here in Arizona. I'm Mark Curtis alongside Caribe Devine.
That's right, and we have a lot to cover right now and throughout the night. It is going to be a long night. Team 12's Adriana Loya is joining us live right now from a local polling place. But first, we want to check in with Team 12's Bianca Bono. And Bianca, there may be a solution to the problem.
Yeah, that's right, guys. Officials say they've identified the problem and they have a solution. Here's what happened. Officials say that ballots at some of those voting centers weren't printing the marks on the ballots dark enough, so therefore the tabulation machines at some of those voting centers couldn't read them properly. But again, they do have a solution and they're working on fixing them at all of the impacted voting centers. We're told 60 voting centers were affected, and so far it's been solved at 38 of them. Chairman Bill Gates said this equipment goes through thorough testing before Election Day, so it's unclear how this happened.
There's no question that's frustrating, but again, really important for people to understand that all those vote locations, they opened on time, so it wasn't a case where people were showing up and the doors were locked, but they were coming and they were not able, some of these people not able to feed it into the tabulator. It's frustrating, but that's why I'm so grateful for all the people who worked on this. This was a tough issue. People were trying to figure it out, and now that we've got a solution, really pleased.
Imagine that they are, and they traveled.
Just a short time ago, we got So again, officials say this was a printing problem, not a tabulation machine problem. And it is important to note that voters that encountered this issue still have the option to physically place their ballot into the slot that's being referred to as door number 3 on those voting machines. And instead of running through the tabulator there on site, it would be physically brought to this tabulation center in downtown Phoenix and counted either later tonight or early tomorrow morning. Officials say they don't believe any voter was disenfranchised today. For an hour live in downtown Phoenix, Bianca Bono, 12 News.
All right, Bianca, thank you. Well, voters do have a few options if they're at a location that is experiencing some technical difficulties.
They can stay where they're at and wait for the problem to be solved. They can leave their ballot in that locked box that'll be taken to a central counting facility tonight, or they can check out of their current polling place and go to a different location. Voters have about 3 hours left to cast their ballot.
And that's right, we've had Sky 12 flying up around the valley all day, capturing some of the lines at those local polling places. Team 12's Adriana Loya is joining us from Anthem. And Adriana, what are you seeing there?
Hey guys, well, here in Anthem at the voting center here at the Outlet Mall, there has been a large turnout of people that have come out here to cast their vote, and this has led to many voters to wait in line for hours. As you can see right now, there is a line that wraps around multiple storefronts. Now, officials here at this poll location tell me they are seeing wait times of about 2 hours on average. Now, after experiencing problems with the equipment this morning, I'm told county officials brought in a new tabulator to keep the process going. But voters here tell me just about an hour ago, one of the machines was still having problems reading their vote.
I needed to redo my ballot actually because I had messed up, so I had to print, and it took about 5 minutes or so to print it, and then about 10 minutes to cast my votes, and then the machines actually misread my ballot about 7-8 different times. So I waited for the machine actually to accept it, and then it ended up getting accepted.
It seems like every election cycle there's always some issues, and so I think we're acclimated to those type of situations.
It was a little longer than the primary. It took I got here about 11:30, and I just got out and cast my ballot. So about 2.5 hours to vote.
And well, despite that long wait, voters here tell me that they will continue to wait in line as long as they have to make sure that their voice is counted. Now, some of them have even told me that they're using their time as they're waiting here in line to make friends with the people who they are standing here for hours next to. So, voters are expected to be here at least until 7 o'clock. We'll stay with 12 News on air and online for the latest developments on this wait times. We're reporting live in Anthem, Adriana Loya, 12 News.
All right, Adriana, thank you. Let's bring in political insider Bram Resnick this afternoon with some perspective. Bran, this is a huge undertaking. I mean, hundreds of thousands of ballots that need to be counted. How unusual is today's situation?
It's not that unusual. You know, this is my 9th election cycle here in Arizona, and the night before Election Day, I expect problems the next morning. A machine doesn't work. Poll workers can't find the key to open the vote center. Poll workers don't show up. This is a large, complicated undertaking on just one day of the year every 2 years, and stuff is going to happen. Sometimes big stuff. Viewers might remember the presidential primary fiasco of 2016, when voters had to wait in line for 5 hours, past midnight in some cases, because there weren't enough polling places. That cost a county recorder her job in the November election.
I just wish it didn't happen here, of all places, because of all of the denialism and mistrust of the system. But what was happening here today that made it different?
Here's what was different. Most of the problems I described were cleared up by lunchtime of that day. Within the last hour or so, we've heard the tabulator problem was diagnosed as a ballot printer problem. Technicians are working on it. About 10% of the vote centers still have issues, but lines at some vote centers are still long. The question is, will this problem persist into the rush hour vote before vote centers close at 7? A county spokesman tells me that vote centers will remain open for any voter who's in line before closing time at 7 p.m. That's the key. You got to get there before 7 and stay in line if there is a line.
Okay, so what about the political side of all of this? How are the candidates latching on to what's happening today?
This is the really big difference from past years. Can you imagine if this were 2016 in this current environment? You know, the political climate, the 2020 election never ended for Republicans. They're still sowing doubt about what happened in 2020 and our elections. Republican candidate for governor Kari Lake was doing it today. Her endorser, Donald Trump, was on social media calling for an investigation. Democratic candidate for governor Katie Hobbs is a target, even though, as Secretary of State, she doesn't run county elections. But now the election rejectionists have some ammunition to question the competence of our election officials. I suspect a Republican legislature next year will want to investigate. This is far from over.
Real quickly, some are predicting a red wave across the country. If that happens, does that end all of this denialism?
Are you kidding? No.
Even with a red wave?
Even with the red wave, if you look at Arizona, we have a statewide slate on the Republican side dominated by people who reject the 2020 election. This gives them steam, a victory, doesn't it?
Well, Kari said that she'll accept the election if she wins.
Sure,
this is affirmation from voters.
It's hard to deny that there is, it's hard to say there's a problem if you win big all across the country. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, we'll see.
Doesn't believe me.
The night is just getting started.
See, I'm the glass half full guy.
And I'm not.
All right, our election coverage doesn't end here. Minutes away on 12 News at 4, we'll take you to tonight's campaign headquarters of the two candidates fighting for the governor's seat.